focused on how we work with industry. And we've purposefully, and I think the panel that was the visiting professor panel led by John, the Vice Chancellor, and by Simon, very much focused on what the industry visiting professors would be contributing to Ravensbourne, to the staff, to the student journey, and also to future-proofing what it is we do. Luca told me the questions that I had were too difficult. Catherine nearly fell over when I showed them to her. Mark didn't really say anything, and Chris could barely read my handwriting, so I've typed them out. So, I just wanted to, the first question was really how meaningful collaboration with industry kind of works. What is it that makes a collaboration between what we do and what industry does impactful? And Luca, should we start with you?
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. First of all, no, your questions are really difficult to find out an answer, but I try to figure it out to say something smart. No, many years ago, probably the industry and the university were very distant, very far from each other, and now we have to close the tide, and it is the only way for leveling up the industry and so the businesses in general, and the university also as well. So, if I have answered your question, because it was very mind-blowing.
Yeah. I'd like to rewind a minute, because nobody knows who they are. So, Luca, would you mind introducing yourself, and then Mark, then Catherine, then Chris? Sorry.
Yeah, my name is Luca, which is now a very common name here in the UK because of the Disney Pixar. So, Luca Mecca. I'm Italian, and I'm a professor of consumer behavior in the University of my city, Turin, in the very north of Italy. And my family is involved in the ice cream industry. We produce from 1899 rolled sugar cones. So also in the UK, we have a good market as well, of course. And nothing. My subject is consumer behavior, which is not actually a subject. Is a interdisciplinary subject, is a mixed up of marketing, because I am in the department of marketing. Is a little bit of marketing, management, and of course creativity and consumer and consumerism. So it's a mixed up of what you mentioned, Mark, before, and so that is my profile.
Thank you, Mark.
Hi, I'm Mark, and I'm a designer and a maker. I work across film, fashion, and product, mostly making. And I've also, I suppose, have a history of working in terms of running teams, design teams, working in high-end sort of blue sky research, working in luxury goods industry, working in fast fashion. So I have a very sort of mixed, I suppose, palette of different experiences across my sort of working career, which throughout all of that, I've also been an academic. So I've always had a connection with a university or more, where I've either been a lecturer, I've gone in and run masterclasses, teaching, but also heading up and running research labs. So that's my connection here with Ravensbourne is, as I said earlier, it's kind of looking at the Digital Hack Lab and how to actually kind of set that up and get it going, with a view to, I suppose, taking on board all that experience. I had to do a lot of big thinking with kind of figuring out where to go next. So hopefully I'm sort of on the right track with where we're going. And yes, sorry, I'm a bit frazzled because I'm kind of working on 3 films at the moment, so I'm sort of back to back. So it's been quite intense, but this is a nice relax, so that's good. Thank you.
Catherine.
Hi, I'm Catherine. I am the COO at All Saints and John Barbatos, but my title is highly misleading. I have nothing to do with technology. I have everything to do with design and marketing and anything to do with buying and anything with product creation. So I don't have as much varied career as Mark, because I've only really worked in 3 places, but I generally stay for a long time. And I love what Luca said about education moving closer to industry, because industry is turning so fast. Things are changing so quickly. And I think it's really important that education is keeping at pace with what's going on, because the industry is moving really fast, especially with the development of technology. And if I'd worked in technology, I'd be much richer. So maybe I should have done that.
Chris.
Hello, Chris Bobko. I am Executive Director of the Zahn Innovation Center at the City College of New York. I have a part academic and part startup background, so my original training was in civil engineering. I started working in more material science within civil engineering and more sustainable material, mechanic of material. I got involved with one of the Hyperloop startups, first as a consultant contractor, first engineering employee at the company, chief engineering officer, and then as startups tend to do more often than not, ran out of money. And more comfortable to say that as years have gone by. And really a huge learning experience for me all along the way. I think I kind of took that PhD experience of learning how to learn, of learning how to dive deep, of learning how to suck up all of that knowledge and experience along the way and hopefully turn it into something more useful. And so I really did that. And as I've come back into a sort of hybrid academic and startup career, leading this center at City College, really thinking about how we train up students, how we help them embrace that entrepreneurial mindset and skill set and mentality in the face of an ever-changing world. So happy to keep that discussion going.
Great, thank you. You'll note how different how different the expertise is, and that's intentional, because what we want to do is bring all the diversity of our visiting professors to Ravensbourne to mix things up, because I suppose the question following on from what Catherine was saying was really how do universities and industry work together to collaborate within an innovative context? What are the things we need to do together to kind of push forward to make sure that we are doing what you're saying, Catherine, which is keeping up with what's happening in industry? Who wants to answer that one?
I mean, I suppose as an independent practitioner, I think, it's the idea of lifelong learning. And so I suppose it's something whereby customers will come to me and they ask me for something. And I suppose I had the skills and the expertise to kind of vaguely know how to pull it off. But to be honest, I never really do until I really get into it. And I suppose I'm learning on the job every time because I've never asked to make the same thing. So it's very difficult to kind of preempt what I need to do in order to make that happen for the customer. And I think from the student's perspective, it's often a kind of, it's whether there's a sort of a prescribed sort of agenda around what they should learn, but actually being able to kind of think on their feet and be reactive and trying to get some sense of how to actually pull this off. And to have the capacity for curiosity, to really sort of figure out how to actually pick something apart and actually create something that hopefully exceeds your sort of customers' expectations.
From my perspective, I think because what we do is so practical, I think on the job learning and being really close to the students who want to work in design or product creation or marketing. I think making it really easy from a university perspective and also from a political perspective, make it easy for the students to be able to work with industry and incentivize business to take students, whether it's work placements or whether it's year outs. I think it should be seamless, the flow from industry, from education straight into industry. So if there could be some practical steps that could be made, I think that would make a huge difference, because we could gear up students for the future.
Interesting, Chris.
I'll build off of that, Catherine. I think it's some great points. For a long time, universities have thought of themselves as being separate from and different than, and dare I say, better than. And as a result, we've actually made it quite difficult to have those. By design, very often, academic institutions are slow to change and put a lot of policy and procedure and paperwork in place. And that's a difficult thing. The other thing that universities do a terrible job at is actually talking about themselves. And that comes from a faculty perspective and from a student's perspective as well. Tend to do a very terrible job about talking to themselves. They think that someone's just going to come and talk to me because I'm a smart person and my work should speak for itself. And it's just not how the world operates. We need to always be thinking about how we're telling our story, about how we're sharing our value, what are the things that we can mutually offer to each other. So it's not just about, oh, I can go have an industry collaboration so they can fund my research. It's about I can have an industry collaboration so that we can have some of those mutual benefits, exchange the students, exchange the research projects, exchange some financial resources if possible. But more than that, and just sort of have those conversations and reduce those barriers across all of the lines. I think we're all making strides on that. From a U.S. perspective, we're especially late to the game on that right now in academia because we've been on the federal funded side for so long, and all of a sudden a lot of that federal support is being pulled. And everybody's scrambling to figure out what that means from an industry collaboration. But it doesn't work the same way. We have to go out and we have to talk to people and have those conversations and have those interactions across all of the methods and all of the places. And so trying to foster that and change that help change that culture a little bit.
And Luca, what do you think?
One thing more that I've been said. Now students are young people. And young people now have metrics of which is global now. If you run 10 kilometers in 1 hour, probably you see somebody online that run in the half of that pace. The same with education. So you see people that are super good in everything. And the good thing, mixing industry and businesses, is that you can fit in a company and you can add a value, doing something different without that scale, without that metrics, which is really global now. So people are a motive, a reason for going at work and coming back in the industry, in the university, because it's a lifetime process. Learning and curiosity is a lifetime project. So I have in mind that I love David Attenborough. So last week I saw a documentary. He's 99 years old now, so a century, and he's still curious. I mean, makes all the difference.
Let's see if we live to 99. We talk a lot at Ravensbourne about interdisciplinary or multidisciplinary collaboration. How does that function within your worlds of work? And are those advantageous kind of elements where we've got creatives, business, tech people working together? Does that function within your place of work? Catherine, let's start with you.
I think those ecosystems exist in business. And actually, the interesting thing is learning how to break down the pillars, the silos between technology and sales. And, so yes, definitely every day we get challenged on how we can get the sale, but we need the technology to be able to do the sale. So yes, it definitely exists. And it has to be collaborative across all the different labs. The labs don't work in a silo. We don't live in a silo. So yes, it definitely needs to be collaborative. And there needs to be coordination between all the labs.
Chris, what do you think?
100% on the interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary thing. From an entrepreneurship and startup perspective, we look at some of the big commercial accelerators. Y Combinator may be the best example, mandates that there's a technical co-founder and a non-technical co-founder as you apply. And there's a reason for that. The business metrics suggest that they're going to be more successful than if it's just the technical person or just the business person. And so in my role, I get to help break those barriers with our students. We'll put together a variety of different programs, and sometimes it really is as simple and as hand-to-hand combat as you and you and you will work together on a team for the next week. Let's see what happens. And then you get amazing things that come out of that. We've seen that happen over and over again. So yes, 100% interdisciplinary.
Luca, do you work interdisciplinary?
The first thing everybody said with a new is a new person, a new a student is the fresh ideas comes into the company, and it's true. But also it's true that companies is searching now for fresh ideas and weird ideas, not ChatGPT ideas. So something different, maybe weird, maybe okay, maybe it doesn't work, but let's have 100. During the meeting, I always said, give 100 ideas. If you have just one idea, you have to pick up just one. And if you have 100 ideas, you can pick up 100 ideas. And so select what possibly the good one.
I often think that the film industry is quite a good way of understanding interdisciplinary and how it has to connect and work. So as a model, it's quite a good one, I think, to try and maybe emulate, because essentially, they're starting with a common script. There's a story to what they're out to achieve, and then it's kind of pulling in all the various components, people, skills, expertise that need to make that happen. All the way through to sort of managing finance, scheduling, and it's also, I suppose, that sense of working together on a project through a diversity of skills where each one is instrumental in able to bring this kind of narrative to life. I think is something which is obviously being refined and continues to be refined. But I think as a way in which you can get diverse groups of people sort of working together on a project, I think that's a good way of thinking about how to enable that.
Last year, Catherine, you sponsored our blueprint project with Shelter. And you had an opportunity to meet some of the students and talk to them about their projects. And just going back on what you were saying about giving the students the opportunities to have a work placement, for example. What are the attributes and skills that you would look for in either a student who's looking to take a year out or a student who graduates?
I love Luca's idea of something weird. I'd like to employ
What's
some
something
weird
weird?
students, please. Because I think, or alternative thinking, fresh perspective. And I mean, look, I'm going to be frank, working in fashion is hard work. So I think you've got to have an appetite to be able to slog. And I don't think that's very fashionable for students to hear. And I can see the students who are willing to plug. So yeah, I'm into those, the ones that are willing to work hard.
Yeah, I think we all are. Chris, what are your thoughts on that?
On what skills?
On skills, I mean, what
Yeah.
you work with a lot of industry in all of the kind of entrepreneurial projects that you do.
Yeah.
Working with industry, working with students, working with graduates. What are they looking for? I'm just wondering if the skills that they're looking for in the US
Yeah.
are similar to what Catherine might be looking for in the UK.
We're hearing all the time it's the people skills. It's the interpersonal skills. It's the how to communicate in a professional environment. It's showing up. So it is a bit of that slog. It is that showing up and putting in the effort. It is... I think the uniqueness is an interesting one. The weirdness is an interesting one. I think in so many ways the generative AI boom is leveling the playing field to make possible for everyone to reach a baseline of something, which means then the unique added value actually becomes your human element again. And that human element of being empathetic as a human, of understanding the needs of the people that you're trying to help solve a problem for, that's really a key aspect of the human skill that folks are looking for.
Mark?
Yeah, I think that it's that curiosity, and it's also, I think, it's problem solving. I think that there's a certain sense of taking responsibility as well for whatever it is the business is out to do. I suppose in your team, you're also looking for them to kind of accept that responsibility, rise to it, and actually be able to kind of take it through to fruition. So I think it is trying to have somebody that's crazy enough to kind of, take on board all of that, but could also help, spur you on as well and sort of give you sort of inspiration and a new take on what you're looking at. Often as people that are working as hard as we do, we're not able to step back and just kind of take a fresh look. So there's also that sort of fresh approach, I suppose, with interns and even students coming in to just kind of explore the studio and just see how things are set up, whereby they're not just necessarily taking it all and absorbing, they're actually kind of responding and have something to say about what they're actually experiencing, and how maybe they can help us actually sort of deliver more extraordinary products and services.
And Luca, what do you think?
Yes, I can add one thing which everybody have in mind, but nobody said. So commitment and respect for everything, deadline, results, and commitment for not stepping back, not give up when things have to be done. So that is crucial now,
Right.
especially. Also at every level. I mean, also to the CEO level. I've read an article of the Times that barely 2,000 CEO has they step back from the duties in the last few years. So are big numbers. So commitment and that aspect is important.
Yeah. So we've spoken a lot about collaboration, and we talk a lot amongst ourselves, and we collaborate pretty well, I think, amongst ourselves in the university. How do we get you guys I mean, Mark is working with us already, but how do we get you to collaborate with us? What are the things you would expect from us to make a collaborative opportunity happen? Chris, let's start maybe with you, because you deal with this kind of thing a lot.
Yeah, I think I come back to an answer I had before of make sure everyone knows what it is that you have on offer to collaborate with. What are the things that a university is providing? What are the talents of the students that you are working with? What are the facilities that you have? What are the interests of the faculty and staff? Make sure that that's really like painfully obvious. And then make it easy to meet up. Make it easy to reach out. Make it easy to find how we can have those conversations and have those mutually beneficial discussions and partnership. Like the collaboration is so much of the ongoing conversation. A collaboration isn't just here's a brief and then 3 weeks later, 3 months later, 3 years later, come back and we'll see what you did. I think that's it's a process actually oriented thing.
Yeah. I mean, what's interesting is that over the Tracy was talking about decades. Over the decades that I've also been working in industry and education. I mean, so Maria is here, Paul, Jess is here, David's here, the people that I've known for many, many years. And it doesn't matter after how many years you haven't seen them or spoken to them, there's always this interest in supporting the work that we do in education. And so I thank you all for that. The question really is, not all students are kind of at the same level. Many students struggle to kind of, to reach their potential. How do we work with you guys in a way that encourages that potential or encourages them to fulfill their potential, where we know that they might not necessarily be the strongest student at that time, but we could support them in their journey? Catherine.
Could I answer the first question you asked, not this one? I think, honestly, do you know what industry wants? They want you to say, how can we help? What can we as a university do to help industry? Because every business has got things that are going wrong, that we need expertise in, that maybe because the students have got fresh young minds, so their adaptability to everything that's happening from a technological perspective is really advanced. So I think if the universities asked the industry partners, how can we help you? How can we make your business better? Honestly, industry will be flocking to the universities. Okay. So I want to turn that question, how to help the students, on its head. How do you help industry?
Okay, that's brilliant. Luca, would you say the same? Because you work in also run a company.
You have to have, for being a good student as well, to being a good businessman, you have to have a sparkle in some way. So you don't have to be pushed every day, because otherwise you are a mule. Okay, so
I love it.
That's true, and there's nothing we can do about that. So. The point is, okay, now to another level, doing at the university mainly research, I have the power to say what I have in mind without having. This is a political answer to you. We, in the last 40 years, 50 years, we have been creating a world of where giving back, stepping back wasn't a problem. So changing a career wasn't a problem. So if you want to be good, you have to study, you have to be trained, but you have to work hard. So, and nothing we can do as a professor, as a teacher, as nobody, ever as a boss, you have to have that sparkle in you. So that is unfortunately no tricks for having the perfect, being the perfect student, being the perfect employee. No, it's no easy. No easy tricks.
Okay.
Just work.
Just work.
Can I jump in on that
Of
real?
course.
We've probably heard about the Gen Z stare. If you've encountered someone in a shop and you walk in and you say hello, and
Exactly.
I think the reason for it is that the Gen Z generation, as a stereotype, crave that authentic experience. They crave that something is real. They crave that they understand why they're doing something. The stare is, I'm just supposed to be friendly to you behind the counter of the shop because I'm just supposed to be friendly to you behind the counter of the shop. But whether I'm friendly to you or not doesn't affect anything. It's the mentality. If you give them the thing that they can engage with because it's a real thing, they don't care whether the shop makes another pound that day or not. Doesn't affect them, doesn't affect their bottom line, doesn't affect anything else. But something that affects them, that they can invest in, that they are interested in, that there is that realness to it. And I think it's why this experiential thing, it's why part of the reason that I've been excited to collaborate with you and the Ravensbourne team, this idea that there's so much of this practical, real, hands-on, experiential. For me, this is the kind of thing that I'm always pushing on our side that we do more of, because that's when we see that sparkle from the students, when they are connecting with why are we doing this? What is the point? How does this make the world a better place? How does this do, how am I actually learning something out of it? What am I getting out of it besides just, okay, the paycheck comes and the NPS survey was better. Why am I here? That's the motivation for them.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I think that, as Catherine said, businesses are facing a lot of problems. And I think that through our history of how we have overcome them, I suppose, as practitioners within industry. But obviously for students, it's a whole new way of thinking. So it might be that students just need to be sort of informed of those kind of, we've got a hit list of top problems from industry and present them to the students as kind of these are some real world sort of scenarios. How do you solve them? And then also kind of connecting that to an actual kind of real world event whereby we can sort of help them realize, how you could actually go about achieving it and actually kind of working in that kind of environment where you have got maybe some insurmountable, some things that kind of seem like, how am I actually going to do this? And then as they get through it, that sense of wow, yeah, okay, right. I've connected, I've achieved, I know how to deal with it now, and I know what kind of things industry are expecting of me once I actually get working with these companies.
Before we open up for questions, I have two more shortish questions, hopefully. One is around the obvious one around AI. How's that kind of going to impact you guys? What are your expectations? What are your fears, hopes? Because we very much are embracing it. The work we're doing with Chris around entrepreneurship and AI. I was just interested in what your thoughts were around that, firstly. Whoever, Catherine. Oh, Mark, Catherine, Chris.
I'll be very pithy.
We could have a cappella.
We learned how to use an abacus, and we taught how to use an abacus. We learned how to use a calculator, and we taught how to use a calculator. We learned how to use a computer. We teach how to use a computer. We learned how to use AI. We teach how to use AI.
Okay. Oh, does that answer the question?
I think it does. But I think we as a business have embraced AI in everything we do. So whether it's from design all the way to selling, all the way to writing, for example, our human resource job descriptions, from summarizing board reports that are 400 pages. So we've used it everywhere. But I think the thing about university students is that their perspective is so much fresher because they are so much more adaptable to new change, and especially with AI. So I think that's a huge win for universities, getting the students straight from university straight into industry, because not every organization is as open-minded with AI. There's a lot of fear about AI out there. So I think for organizations who are more fearful, I think it's a good thing to embrace new students.
Mark?
Yeah, I would agree in that it's another tool. But I think it is about how you make effective use of that tool. So it does require some, real sort of deep diving into what you can do with it, how to get the best out of it, being critical of what it's actually kind of throwing at you, still being able to kind of think through it, and also pushing it to get results that you want. It's kind of all well and good just kind of writing in a prompt and kind of being sort of satisfied with the first sort of high resolution, photographically sort of reproduction and think, wow, that's great. But no, I want you to, let's change that and let's change that because that's not quite right. And starting to really kind of understand how you begin to have that level of control over the tool.
Luca?
I'm totally agree with you all. AI, it's a tool, like every tool. You have to manage the tool and not be managed by the tool. I return on the weird idea because, of course, my weird idea that I give to you is, so basically, I used to make art years ago with the computer, with Adobe Illustrator, with Photoshop and everything. But now I start again painting with my hands. So is something, or I never stop writing with my Mont Blanc and writing, because it's not an act of revolution. I mean, nobody cares if I write my notes, so or if I paint my, okay. But it's something that helps you to keep in control of the tool, and that is the point, especially in the future.
Great. So my final question to you guys, it's not a trick question, but as one of our first visiting professors, I mean, well, each of you, what do you most hope to gain and contribute through collaborating with us?
I start.
Okay, you start.
So first of all, and I have to say sorry to everybody for my English because it's very bad and I know that. So first of all, is an opportunity for me to have an international institution to work with, and also is very important to me for my researches, which wants to be more wider as possible. So not only in Europe, I am in Italy, of course, based in Italy, but this is a very amazing opportunity for me being in London, which is an incredible city. Churchill has said, still is a good city.
And the other way around?
And the other way around, I mean, from a research point of view, I think I can bring to this institution something really interdisciplinary, which is Latin. I don't know why you Brits love Latin that much, but interdisciplina was Latin.
Yeah.
And so, which is very important. Many topics, many subjects, many disciplines bring together for maybe one bottom line, which is, of course, raising the margin of every company, which is the bottom line of the management university. Every management university, economics one, okay, how to obtain more tomorrow than yesterday. This lesson one. So this is the part, interdisciplinary, that is what I can give you.
Yeah. Chris?
What I hope to contribute is some experience in bridging lots of these different activities around the world, around discipline, around academia and industry, around different kinds of students. It's fun to bring those people together and bring those activities together. And because that's fun, that's what I hope to gain out of it too.
Okay, cool. And Mark?
I think the thing I'm looking forward to most is obviously collaborating with new researchers, members of staff, companies. I like to, I suppose, tackle those new opportunities because each one, the culture changes each time. And it's nice to kind of absorb that whilst you're sort of working on project ideas and working collaboratively. I always kind of, that sort of buzz that you get with working with new people is always very satisfying. I think I've got some skills. So I would like to obviously give as much of those as I can to the students, but also to members of staff that are looking at sort of how to tackle some of the technological and making sort of aspects of what they do, but also just idea generation as well. I think ideas are where it all starts, really. And I think that only comes through these new opportunities where you are sort of putting yourself in a situation where you're bouncing ideas around and then something emerges. And it's capturing that and then taking it through to fruition. So I think that's what I'm...
Thank you. And Catherine?
I think meeting and collaborating with the students, I think is really, really fruitful for anybody in industry, if they're weird or not. I think spending time with students, you always learn. And then what we can give back is obviously we're a big organization with lots of different departments, so access to lots of different departments across our business. And, we look after 3 brands. So, basically exposure to how it works in industry and what all our challenges are. So access to that.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Well, thank you to Luca and Mark, Catherine and Chris.